Welcome, Snails. Today we are going to be talking about the evolution of insects within the Earth realm. We hypothesize that millions of years ago, within the Earth realm, a massive magical extinction event occurred, one that killed off 85% of all living things on the realm. Due to the magical nature of this extinction event and all the death, this left the land radiating with soul, and left the survivors struggling to adapt to their new way of life. However, insects would quickly thrive and become the dominant species within the Earth realm. You might think large amounts of soul would be beneficial to all mortals. However, the same way one can have water intoxication, too much of anything becomes poison. When a mortal takes in too much soul into their body, it causes burns, which can lead to death. We see this commonly with mages when they attempt to cast powerful spells. Burns are magical scars and can appear quite different depending on the origin of the soul. So, for a period of time in the Earth realm's history, when the Devil Zaru was still developing and still attempting to balance out the ambient soul within the realm, most plants were poisonous. Plants can safely store soul within themselves and will grow quite large depending on the amount of abundant soul around. However, not everything struggles to consume soul. Fungi is notoriously good at consuming, storing, and safely releasing soul, usually in simple ways like bioluminescence. What ended up happening was a group of insects stole these enzymes from the fungi instead of evolving it on their own. This is what we called horizontal gene transfer. Instead of parent to child, which is vertical gene transfer, this happens when two separate things share enzymes between each other. It is more fun to say that the plant stole. With this enzyme, the insects were able to better process soul through their body and safely dispose of it without causing burns. This also led to an explosion of biodiversity between different kinds of insects, all learning how to consume soul and then learning how to utilize it in different ways, not just processing it. Since many insects have multiple phases of development, or one massive phase of development, the pupa stage, they are able to grow quite large, similar to when plants have abundant amounts of soul. The consequence to this, though, was a titan boom, with some insects utilizing souls in ways that we would consider to be powers, and thus becoming reliant on soul more than other sources of food. And this titan boom did not last long. Titans are very territorial and are always fighting for resources, but some of the titans still around today within the Earth realm are direct descendants of these ancient ones. This is why the majority of titans within the Earth realm are insectoid in nature. Bugs would soon go through another major change once mankind arrived in the Earth realm. With insects being the primary megafauna, this led them to be the main source of hunting and eventually domestication. A great example of a domesticated insect is the hua. The hua is able to process and consume sugar and soul very safely and expel large amounts of it basically unchanged. Its excrements are highly nutritious, even the basis for many sweet treats within the Earth realm. There are also insects that would be domesticated for travel, some domesticated as sources of meat, and a small few you could even consider to become pets. Mankind were not the only ones to domesticate insects, and I'm not talking about insects domesticating each other, though that has been happening before mankind's arrival. No, Zaru, the devil, too, has domesticated some insects for very different reasons. Zaru did so to create a specialized group of titans to act as enforcers within his domain. This special group of titans are known as the Blades of Zaru, the most notable and oldest blade of Zaru being Vayada. This titan utilizes soul to enhance its exoskeleton to give it properties of metal plate armor, and enhances its scythe-like arms to be deadly blades. The silver coloring of its armor helps reflect sunlight, lessening the amount of heat it takes in. Additionally, it can flare up its wings, using it like a mirror to reflect sunlight at its opponents, quickly blinding them before coming in to slash. A titan like this could not be sustainable within the grand expanse of Zaru's domain, but that's because Zaru is feeding this titan. Unlike other devils we know, Zaru does not seem to utilize excess soul for any sort of power. Instead, observer will feed excess soul to its titans to help them focus not on hunting, but purely combat. Oh, to be a theoretical fly on the theoretical wall to observe the whole history of insects in the Earth realm. They span nearly every niche, surviving in the most extreme of environments, from ones that are microscopic to others that are larger than a house. They might not be the smartest, but they are definitely the dominant species within the Earth realm. Thank you for watching, Snails. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. For the most curious of you, consider joining us on this journey throughout the realms. Signed, Dragonfly.